Welcome to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, with your host Zaki Baruti. And like always, I want to give a shout out to my biological family. What's happening? To the Universal African Peoples Organization family, what's going on? And to New Life Evangelists Assembly family headed by Reverend Rice. Keep up the great work, and a shout out to our amazing cameraman Bob. On that note, we don't have another great show because we're going to do part 2 of a series of interviews with a most profound historian and activist who's chairman of the African Peoples Socialist Party. And I'm speaking none other than, I'm going to say Dr. Omali Yeshitela. How you doing, young man?
Good to see you.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
As we begin our show, I know on the prior show you shared a little bit about your background. There may be others who have not know a little bit about you. I always like our audience to know a little bit about who we interviewing. So share a little bit about yourself. And for those of you, if you can go into the archives, check out his first a little bit about himself in terms of military. Share something else about you.
Well, I became officially organizationally connected to the struggle of our people through the organization was called the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC. And SNCC is the organization that in 1966 put forth the slogan, Demand of Black Power. So I was, as a young person, I was a part of that whole Black Power movement.
And there were some significant historical figures around there too. Name a couple of them.
Well, some of the people who many people are familiar with, Kwame Ture, who was Stokely Carmichael when I knew him and when I first met him, and also people like H. Rod Brown, just a brilliant, and these are very courageous people who we were associated with. And from this whole Black Power movement, there also emerged the Black Panther Party, first in Lowndes County, Alabama, as a political party dealing primarily with electoral politics. This is an all-black political party. And then, of course, that was the thing that inspired the development of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, Huey P. Newton, Fred Hampton, people who you were familiar, affiliated with, et cetera. So that is, that's part of the trajectory of the movement that we've been involved in, that we are summing up right now in so many ways that the world is experiencing and trying to suppress. That's why this show and the kind of work you do is so important through this show. Connecting, the struggle of our people in some continuum. It didn't just get born yesterday or with George Floyd or with Mike Brown. It's been going on for a long time. For centuries, actually. So with that said, on the prior show, I just wanted to point out the fact of the need for people to have an international perspective. Our people pay billions of tax dollars into the coffers of the United States. So why is it important for our people, as well as just the general population, to be conscious of international issues? It's important because we are part of history. We don't exist in some kind of vacuum. We didn't just pop up in this country under some collard green leaf. That a process was put in motion that snatched us up from the continent of Africa, put us here, snatched up as a part of a process that gave rise to France, all these other powers in the world, Vietnam. All these people are fighting against the same oppressor that we are fighting against, and within a system that envelops the entire world. Even white people who stupidly too often unite with the oppression of black people and Palestinians and others, not recognizing that it is the foundation of their exploitation as well within the system. So it's really important for us to know that. Otherwise, we find ourselves fighting against our own interests.
I know that's right. Now, there's a couple of, I want to get into what's happening currently worldwide as it relates to some serious conflicts that involve a lot of death and destruction. And I wanted to deal with your perspective on what's taking place in Ukraine/Russia. And if you would, give some historical background from your perspective on that conflict.
Yeah, quickly, I think it's really important to say that this issue that we're looking at in Ukraine and Russia is part of an ongoing historical effort, more than 100 years old, on assault against Russia. Got to remember, Russia did not participate in the colonial project that enslaved black people or other people like us around the world. It was separate from that process. And Russia achieved, So wait a minute, so absolute clarity. So you're saying
in Africa, Russia was not one of those European countries that came into Africa, carved Africa up, was part of the Berlin Conference of 1894, and exploited Africa as many European countries, including this country, has done.
Yes.
Okay.
Russia never did that. Russia
Okay.
didn't own plantations in Mississippi and stuff like that. They were
Okay.
or in Moscow or anything like that. This was Russia was separate from that. Which is not to say that there were not contradictions with Russia or in Russia, but it certainly was not a part of this process that Russia came into modernity not through slavery and colonialism like America, like all of what is known as Europe, most of what is known as Europe. It came into modernity through a revolution. And the thing that influenced that revolution in 1917, I say 1917, remember that. That's Garvey's alive in 1917, 11 million black people all around the world struggling. 1917, 1916, what was significant about 1916? That you know, right here in this area, the 1916, Red Summer,
yeah, right,
Red Summer.
And what is Red Summer, though? Some people may not know Red Summer, and it's important that you know history, but what is Red Summer?
The whole Red Summer, this was an era of a time, and especially, I said 1916, but, you know, you go from 1916, you know, throughout the 20s and whatever, to murder, massive murders, riots by white people who just slaughtered black people. Not that
and
we didn't
in
fight back.
East St. Louis, 1917
yeah.
race riot, and other places.
And of course, in 1921, they dropped the bomb, you know, in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So there was a whole period of this kind of stuff that was going on.
Terror.
Yeah, terror.
Right.
But the thing is that what gave rise to the Russian Revolution, and most people don't recognize, is that there's this struggle that we've been talking about all along, where this first imperialist world war from 14 to 1819, something like this.
1918.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have this war, and it was a war to redivide the world. Again, just like Berlin was happening, where they're trying to not have to do this. That's what this war was about.
Okay, we'll have to take a quick break.
I hope you're enjoying the Zaki Baruti show. Now we need your help to get the word out about this community affair program and so many others. Now, how do you do that? Well, you tell folks to turn to 24.2 on their television set, and even family, friends, relatives that live outside of the area, well, get them to put the NLEC TV app on their phones and look it up on their computer. 24 hours of wholesome family programming, so much community programming that you're not getting on other stations, right here on NLEC TV. So please spread the word. And while you're doing that, continue to get involved in the work of the New Life Evangelistic Center. So many opportunities awaiting you and your family at this particular time. New Life Evangelistic Center is on the front lines with first responders, directly helping homeless people day after day after day. Behind me are the new headquarters for the New Life Evangelistic Center, along with the studios for NLEC TV or 24.2. You may want to drop by and visit them sometime. This is where we record the Zaki Baruti program at 2428 Woodson Road in Overland, Missouri. New Life Evangelistic Center is offering homeless people so many opportunities to be set free from the cycle of homelessness, has a wide variety of safe houses, and so many women and children are staying there, and they're learning all different kinds of different skills, all kinds of skills here at 2428 Woodson Road. We also have the training centers in New Bloomfield, Missouri, Marshfield, Missouri, the largest daytime walk-in facility, southwestern Missouri, northwestern Arkansas at 806 North Jefferson, in Springfield, Missouri, the worldwide work of the New Life Evangelistic Center in Kakata, India, and then in Lagos, Nigeria, and in Haiti, all over New Life Evangelistic Center, trying to help people that are in need. New Life Evangelistic Center receives no city, state, or federal dollars, and we're only able to do this as a result of the prayers and involvement of caring people like you. So please pray for this work, and please partner with the New Life Evangelistic Center so we continue to keep the Zaki Baruti Show and the other community affair programs on the air. Remember, tell everyone you know about it, and go to the NLEC TV app.
There are so many people who work in our community glorifying God with the gifts that they have, and we thank Zaki for doing that regularly with us. You can make a difference too by partnering alongside New Life Evangelistic Center. If you're tired of seeing all of the pain and the hurting around you in your community, and you're ready to get into the trenches and to work alongside a ministry that has been doing this work for so long, consider and pray helping New Life Evangelistic Center to be there when people are hurting. Zaki has has done that for many years, and we're so thankful for that. You can be a part of the difference too. You can be a part of the team, God's team, of working to help heal the hurts of hurting people in our community. We would love to partner alongside you. Please contact us soon to get involved with the work of New Life Evangelistic Center.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In studio with me is historian Dr. Omali Yeshitela with the African Peoples Socialist Party chairperson. On the other side, we were getting a little history as far as the Russian Revolution coming on the heels within World War I.
Right.
And the Russian Revolution was 1917?
1917.
And at that same time, right here in this country, you had the rise of the great Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And if you don't know Garvey, please study his movement.
And recognizing the international relationship, but at the same time, you had in what is now Nicaragua, people are rising up fighting against the U.S. in Nicaragua. I mean, struggles were happening all around the world. People wanted to be free. And the thing that I wanted to mention is that coming into this first imperialist world war that's called World War I, Lenin, who was a Russian revolutionary, who was the leader of the Russian Revolution in 1917, he had tried to get all of the white communists of the world to agree not to participate in this war, to not vote credits for the war to their countries, talking about defending the fatherland, but he said, turn this world war into civil war in the countries where we are so that we can liberate the workers of the world. But the thing is, when we talk about a war to redivide the world, who were they talking about? They were talking about the same people they were talking about in Berlin. They're talking about us. They're talking about other oppressed peoples around the world dominated by Europe. So their struggle was to redivide the world, and Lenin and the Bolsheviks opted out. This created a problem within the whole colonial project. And so since that time and the success of the Russian Revolution succeeded in 1917, 1917, and then 1918, all the colonial powers, including the United States and Japan, invaded Russia. That's when the first invasion happened, 1918. But when the Russian Revolution happened, guess who sent congratulations to Lenin and Trotsky?
Who was that?
Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, right, has sent congratulations to them for the success in that revolution. So you had that whole mix. They want to separate Russia from colonizers, from the struggle against colonialism. It's always been a part of the mismatch because it was about liberating the working peoples of the world from this situation where you have these thugs who don't do any work but control and own and control everything that we do. We fight wars for them. And not knowing it, thinking that we're fighting for democracy and all this thing. We're fighting to maintain the same social system when we do. That's why I was in Berlin, didn't know it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. So with that said, moving forward then, so has been a historical antagonism between the new movement that occurred in Russia with the powers, the European powers to be, including the United States. Moving forward to the current conflict, from my understanding, you can elaborate, Russia was very alarmed at the fact that the United States was trying to push for Ukraine to become a member of NATO, and with them becoming a member of NATO, then more weaponry would be placed on the soil of Ukraine, which was just a few miles away from Russia.
Well, some of that's surely the case. But you got to remember that NATO itself was created in 1949 after the founding.
And what is NATO? I'm sorry, we threw out
the North
that.
Atlantic Treaty Organization is what it's called. It's a military organization of all the colonial powers. That's what it is. And it was created in 1949. And it was created for the exact purpose of containing and destroying Soviet Russia. That was the basis of its existence. That's why it came into existence in the first place. So when you see what's happening with NATO now in Russia, Ukraine, it started 100 and some odd years ago. It's not a new phenomenon. That's what it was created to do. And so in 1914, we had a situation where partially as a consequence of U.S. activities, and this time under James Earl Carter, who was then the president, and his national security advisor, Brzezinski, they initiated this conflict with Afghanistan. because in Afghanistan, the Russians, the force in power was closely aligned with the Soviet Russia. And they wanted to create a Vietnam for Russia,
right.
so that would drain their economy, destroy the Russian project, the Soviet project, and they did it. They kicked off. That's where the modern jihad that we're looking at today was created by the United States government. Yeah. They're the ones who organized, trained them, etc., sent them into Afghanistan. Of course, they had their own interest in going to Afghanistan too, but that's the thing that they did. So you had this emergence of the jihad that justified, being able. Why would they have a jihad? Because they prefer to fight a religious enemy as opposed to a secular enemy. A secular enemy is looking for a solution against colonialism, and that is to say, this parasite that's stealing resources. And their assumption is that the religious organization is just, about something, else, otherworldly, etc. That's what even Israel did that initially with Hamas. They supported Hamas because they thought they was getting rid of a secular enemy and then putting something in place that would undermine that.
Okay, but going back to Ukraine, so what in terms of how do you think the community ought to respond to what's taking place?
Well, what's taking place in Ukraine is it's the continuation of the U.S. war against Russia, and it's killing Ukrainians, and it's killing Russians. 1914, as you know, the U.S. engineered a coup in Ukraine to overthrow the legally elected government, chased them out of the country and what have you, and then put in power the institution that now is represented by Zelensky. And many of these people are Nazis who they say they hate. They act like they hate fascists and stuff, but central to the military and certain other components of the Zelensky government are people who are Nazis. They're fascists and things like that. And so that's who they put in power, and they put them in power because they wanted a force in power that would unite with the NATO, that would unite with the so-called West, as opposed to Russia that they had relationships with, and that's been the basis for it. And for several years, since 1914, they gave millions, billions of dollars worth of arms, etc., to that entity, and they killed a lot of people in Russia and Russians.
Okay, on that note, we got to take another quick break.
An epidemic of homelessness is sweeping throughout the United States of America. In city after city, people are ending up on the streets. Now, instead of feeling overwhelmed, as believers, we can do three things. We can give, we can volunteer, and we can pray. We can pray for the homeless refugees that we're finding in one city after another, all over the United States. So many people ending up out on the streets. And the hearts of so many are growing cold at this particular time and indifferent to the need. Jesus said, as oft as you've done it to the least of these, he said, even so you've done it unto me. When's the last time you've prayed for the homeless refugees in the United States of America, appearing in city after city, not only in major cities, but even smaller cities? So many people ending up out on the streets, even in resort areas, places you never think you'd find homeless people, they're there. Jesus said, foxes have holes and birds have nests, but he, the Son of Man, had nowhere to lay his head. Please pray for the refugees. Please pray for the homeless people in America. And pray for those that are on the front lines, the first responders, reaching out through Jesus Christ among the homeless and hurting, whether it's in Springfield or St. Louis. Your prayers and gifts to the New Life Evangelistic Center makes a big difference. This New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri, is 63166. If we had not had these safe houses open, what would your life be like now?
I probably wouldn't be here,
You
honestly.
really mean that?
Yeah, because the depression kicks in, the fear, everything that God wants us not to have, it will kick in because you feel alone. New Life makes me feel like I'm no longer alone. And honestly, yeah, I really believe I wouldn't be here because I wouldn't have felt the need to want to be here because I was all alone.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti. In the studio with me is Dr. Omali Yeshitela. I like Dr. Although also chairman, a great historian. If you would finish your statement on Ukraine in terms of how do you think our people ought to be responding?
We should. I think our position of the African Peoples Socialist Party initially was the one of supporting Russia as it related to the war in Ukraine, as it related, because this was something that was manufactured to overturn, to reinforce the whole colonial project. And so we had no idealism about that. So, yeah.
And when I want to stay on Ukraine,
Right.
but you took me in my mind during the period of mass uprising against the Vietnam War, where a lot of people end up being incarcerated for taking a principled
Yes.
position about the United States government being involved in Vietnam. Have you, as an extension of and you've been very public, your organization, on your position about the Ukraine war, how has that impacted you?
Well,
directly,
people,
I mean, in
in
terms
some
of
ways,
the government.
Yeah, it's been inferred that what I've had to say about Ukraine is responsible for the United States government attacking me and my movement on July 29th of last year, where they
Now, when you say they attack you, how do you mean they attack you?
I mean, they came with armored vehicles, they came with flashbang grenades, they came with battering rams, knocked down doors, they came with handcuffs, they handcuffed people and initially characterized us as unindicted co-conspirators with Russians because of our stance, in part not just because of Ukraine, but also because of the work we do with reparations, because the work that we've done to win support from peoples around the world, around the Genocide Convention that's been, as it applies to what's happening to black people. These are some of the reasons that they said. And all of it had to do with speech, free speech. So the problem they had, of course, is they can't say we're going to attack you because you're saying black people should get reparations for all the crimes that we committed against you. They can't say that we are attacking you because you are charged the United States with violation of the United Nations Convention on the crime, punishment, and prevention of the crime of genocide. So they say, that's not why we're attacking you. We're attacking you because the Russians paid you to do this. But they can't get around the fact that I've been doing this for 50 years. Our organization has been doing this for more than 50 years.
So wait a minute. So you're saying that the United States government, in that raid, at what time of day did they make a raid?
It was pre-dawn. It was 5 o'clock in the morning. So it was pre-dawn.
Kind of give us an actual description so folks can really feel what you had to feel that morning.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that, we're in my house, and as you know, Comrade Zaki, we do a lot of work, here in West St. Louis, with economic projects
North
and
St.
things
Louis.
like that. North
Yeah.
St. Louis, doing economic projects and things like that. And so at 5 o'clock in the morning, this racket outside, we hear this thing, a loudspeaker saying, everybody in the house, come out, because I lived on Redbud, come out with your hands up and your hands empty. This is the FBI, et cetera. So initially, it was so shocking. I have never lived in a situation where you get these tornado warnings, like this. And so I thought, is that a tornado warning that we're hearing outside? But they repeated, and then suddenly these explosions started going off all around the house. And later we learned that in the back stairwell of my house, these explosions go off. I asked my wife, wait here, let me go down first, and then you get on the phone, let people know what's happening to us, that we're under attack. But she tried, and she couldn't because they had jammed our phones, so we couldn't communicate with anybody. So I come downstairs, and I run into this big spotlight and this armored vehicle parked in front of my house. And there are these military forces with camouflage, assault weapons, military assault weapons in front of the house. And then when I walk out of the house, I'm hit in the chest by a barrage of these laser dots on my chest, which was letting me know, it was designed to terrorize me, let me know that they could kill me at will.
Right.
And so I get downstairs, and my wife, as she comes downstairs, she gets almost hit in the face by a drone that they sent up into the stairwell, into our house. They handcuff me. They take all of our phones. They use battering rams. They break our windows, etc. And they arrest us.
Okay.
Well, they don't arrest us, but they held us at gunpoint.
Okay, then we'll have to take our last break.
We are struggling, and we're sure you are too. During this time, it reminds me of the early church in Macedonia. Paul describes how these churches were severely afflicted in 2 Corinthians chapter 8. Verse 1, he says, "We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. It's verse 1 and 2 of chapter 8 in 2 Corinthians. This church was experiencing massive affliction. And not only that, they were incredibly impoverished. And yet God graciously gave them far more that they could ever have because they wanted to serve the church in Jerusalem. Right now, you have an opportunity to get involved in the work of New Life Evangelistic Center, to heal the hearts of broken people on the streets of St. Louis and throughout Missouri. You can make a big difference today. We know that things are really tough right now. We know that that everyone is struggling. And yet, by God's grace, by His lavish goodness, you can be a part of making difference today. Please consider to give to New Life.
Welcome back to Conversation with Zaki Baruti, and we only have a couple more minutes with Chairman Omali Yeshitela, and you were describing that the morning of the attack was in on what date?
That was July 29th, 2022.
Okay. At first, you they had said that you were a unindicted co-conspirator.
Yes.
Okay. What is the status now?
The status is that there were 4 of us who were initially unindicted co-conspirators. Now there are 3 of us who they decided not to indict one. They've indicted me, 2 other persons in the Solidarity Movement, Penny Hess and Jesse Neville, these both of whom are white, whom they attacked with bravado, because we have a center there as well, and in their homes. And you say they're white? Yeah, they're white. Yeah, okay. They went into the white community. This was the first time they ever had to do that. When they killed Fred Hampton in a similar circumstances in 1969, no white people were involved. They didn't have to. But now we've extended the movement into the white community behind enemy lines, as we like to say. And so since that time, 9 months later, we were indicted. 3 of us. And then we filed a motion to have the charges dismissed. And we were in court on September 18th, I think it was, 18th, for oral arguments. And they said that they'd get back and the court would make a determination. So that's been September. And they still haven't responded
made no decision as to whether.
So we are faced with. Initially, we were supposed to be going to trial in February. So we are facing with 10 to 15 years in prison because of this bogus, most ridiculous kind of charge they made against us.
Wow. So, well, let me just say this publicly. I salute your steadfastness, because a lot of people will under that kind of attack will wither, and our organization, of course, extends solidarity, So for anybody that may want to express solidarity or support for your situation in the Uhuru movement, how would they get in contact?
They should go to Hands Off Uhuru, handsoffUHURU.org. And there they find all kinds of information. As you know, Zaki, because you're part of the Black is Black Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations, that we have created anti-colonial free speech movement that includes something like more than 40 different organizations, like Palestinians, Africans, and a whole bunch of other people. HandsoffUhuru.org.
Okay, then. Well, I appreciate you, and we'll be having you again. Because we got to look at the various international issues that's impacting our people. On that note, like always, I encourage everybody to join a movement, join an organization that speaks truth to power and trying to make a difference in our community. We say join the Universal African Peoples Organization or the African Peoples Socialist Party, but become involved. On that note, may God bless each and every one of you.